Up next, low sexual desire and inability to be sexually aroused and consistent difficulty to reach an orgasm is often the cause of psychological trauma. So to help us understand and change this is trauma therapist Louisa Niehaus. Welcome, Louisa. This is a fascinating topic because I think in this whole quest for women empowerment and women emancipation, we're starting to be real. We're starting to just talk about what is affecting us. And it's not as pathological as we think it is. There are many women out there that are struggling with sexual arousal disorder or low libido, for example. We just heard from Claudia that the contraceptive pill can influence libido. But there is a point in time where we're stuck in our heads, right?
Definitely.
You deal a lot with that and people that are struggling to sort of break through that space. What have you seen in this area?
I think that women are particularly sensitive to discussions around sex and sexuality, and they tend to keep their emotions and their sexual desires under wraps.
Isn't it because we were taught to be ladies and ladies do not discuss those things?
Definitely. There's a whole aspect to self-judgment around sexuality. Also, it depends on your religion, your cultural upbringing, the types of messages that you've ingested from your parents, from society, which could govern and influence your sexual life as an adult. And so women often carry that weight when they're having sex, is that they feel there's a great element of self-criticism or spectatoring, which is watching or criticizing yourself or your partner during sexual activity. And that women so often are not present in the sexual act. They're kind of distanced from their own body.
Wow, is that some form of protective mechanism? Is it, you know, because I know rejection is a huge thing when we talk about these type of issues. Just the feeling that I don't know what I'm doing and am I embarrassed and I don't know my space that I'm operating in. So is that why women tend to distance themselves mentally?
You know, Stacey, there are a number of factors. First of all, we are fed this social media or media archetype of what a sexual being looks like. And there's a lot of self-criticism around how you feel sexually. So if you're having a sexual experience, you're conscious of, is he looking at my big bum? Or have I got cellulite? And that can inhibit one sexually instead of acknowledging that the person that you're with, your partner, is sexually attracted to you because of what you look like, not because of some imaginative ideal that you have in your head of what a sexual being should look like, which can severely inhibit women's sexual activities and the ability to enjoy themselves during sex.
Are we focusing too much on the orgasm, or is it finally that orgasm has come into the limelight and we're talking about the fact that many women don't experience an orgasm?
There are a number of women who don't experience orgasm and who may never experience orgasm in their life. However, there's hope.
Louisa has come to the rescue.
Not only me, but there is mindfulness-based therapy, which allows a woman to be fully present in her sexual experiences, which is where we advocate a woman being aware of the sensate and sensory experiences in her body.
When you spoke to me about this, I loved the idea because it's happening from a nutritional and general health perspective as well. Touch on what a woman can do practically to be more aware or to be more mindful and present in the sensate experience.
Well, firstly is to monitor your reactions initially during a sexual experience. So instead of being critical and judgmental of both yourself, your partner, your body, is just to be aware of the thoughts that are happening initially during the sexual experience. If you notice yourself often becoming critical, too much self-awareness, too much judgment, the inability to let go, monitor those thoughts. The second or third time that you engage in sexual activity is to allow yourself to focus on the areas of sensual or erotic pleasures. So to be fully in the experience as opposed to a spectator. And I've found in my practice that a lot of women who are then able to fully feel what is happening in their body will have a better sexual experience. Because what often happens is that women present in practice as saying, I feel distant from my body. I feel a disconnect from my body.
Yeah.
And if you have that disconnect from your body, it means that you're not aware of your bodily sensations.
Yeah.
We are not just the sum part of our genitals.
Yeah.
There is a lot more to us than just genital stimulation. There is also the whole cognitive awareness, the messages or the feedback that you've got from your culture, your religion, and so forth.
So their partners need to be cognizant of this as well and come to the party and assist in this journey.
Initially, what I would say to women who are experiencing sexual arousal disorder would be to have the confidence to be able to self-explore in private. So if you don't have the gaze of a partner on you, one may be less inhibited and more able to experience and discover one's own erogenous zones. Following that, to be able to work with your partner in an area where you can discover your sexuality together, but with a great deal of trust as well. Trust is a huge factor in allowing women to express themselves sexually.
Just in reading some forums, in researching this topic, some women have explained that they don't know how to get out of their heads. You know, as you know, by our very makeup, we don't compartmentalize issues. Stress is there, the kids are there, tasks that need to be done at home all seem to spring up at this moment when you're supposed to be enjoying sex with your partner. What are some practical tips that you could provide for those type of women that are struggling to declutter their minds?
Stacey, you've hit upon two of the biggest factors that can inhibit women's sexual desire. That is sleep, okay? And stressful lives. You have to make time to play and to experience your sexuality with a partner. Sex begets more sex. So the more you have it, the more you want it. And you've got to make time to experience that. You've got to almost set aside a date night in order to give time, effort, and focus to sexual activities and get enough sleep.
What advice would you give to partners who are aware that their partner is struggling with sexual arousal disorder? They don't want to pathologize and make a big thing out of it. Are there some tips and tricks that they can employ to help this person feel more at ease or to ease the conversation?
There may be a number of factors that are inhibiting women's sexual drive. They could have had a traumatic sexual experience earlier on, or they could have had a bad experience with a lover. Or perhaps you're with your partner and neither of you know how to stimulate the other. So it can be situational. So what I would advise partners to do is to form a relationship of trust, first of all, in which one can allow the other to express their sexual desires in a non-judgmental, caring and playful way. I would also suggest role play. The ability to fantasize, the ability to lose your inhibitions as a couple together.
Okay, we're going to continue the discussion. I just love Louisa's voice as well. It's quite sensual. She's perfect for it. When we come back, we continue our chat with Louisa Niehaus, and we'll also go deeper into some of the psychological causes of poor sexual health in women. Stay with us. Welcome back to Real Health. We're talking about women's sexual health, and I'm joined by trauma therapist Louisa Niehaus. Louisa, I mean, we're talking about all this, the gray area within sexual arousal disorder, but there are some underlying medical conditions. Talk to us about that.
Well, for example, women who are menopausal or women who have given birth and who are nursing may experience a decrease in estrogen, which would account for vaginal dryness. And during sex, it can be very difficult because women are prone to tearing and pain. And if intercourse is sore, nobody's going to want to have sex.
Yes, and there would be a mental repercussion for that as well. You'd think that this is what it's always going to be like. So do you recommend the use of lubrication?
Definitely.
Okay.
Lubrication.
Do you recommend longer foreplay periods?
I would say yes. I would say that it would take longer to
like
be
sensual
aroused.
massage,
yes.
or
and maybe reading erotica, watching a movie together, as I said before, role play, fantasy, a lot of that can be brought in order to stimulate arousal.
So one of the questions that came in was a woman that had a hysterectomy, and obviously this would affect her libido, but the vicious cycle that she entered was the depression and anxiety, and then also knowing that there's a real cause, but I just don't know how to navigate this space.
Sure, and that also can lead to further complications, because then you have a negative association with sex, because you don't feel aroused, you don't want to have sex, it's painful. I would suggest using a lubricant or going to see your physician, seeing if there is some kind of hormone replacement that one can take. Recent studies have shown that taking testosterone increases a woman's libido as well.
So exercise will be great there, because exercise naturally increases your testosterone levels as well.
And also there would be increased body confidence if you're exercising.
Because that's a huge issue.
Huge. A lot of women have so many issues with body confidence, and it does affect them sexually. They would only make love in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do you help them switch on the lights?
Yeah, exactly. I think by becoming more confident and by realizing that the images that we're presented with in the media are completely unattainable.
There are filters for everything.
Exactly.
Things have been photoshopped.
Yes.
People don't reveal, they only show the highlights, you know, of their lives. They don't reveal the dark spaces as well. So sometimes it's also maybe digital detox and getting off those, the diet of seeing those type of images as well, and just finding yourself in a more wholesome space, maybe?
And also to start doing activities like dance, tango, belly dancing. It puts you in touch with your own body.
Yeah.
And knowing that you do not have to look like an archetype to be a sex goddess.
Why do you think that, because I mean, there are so many positive benefits of sex. We've forgotten all of them, it seems, or most of them.
Because we focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
Sex is incredibly healthy for one.
Yeah.
So it will boost your immune system, help with depression. It gives you a creative fire and a twinkle in your eye that you cannot get from anything else other than maybe cooking or eating fabulous food or chocolate.
Always get it from chocolate.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are many benefits to having a good sex life and a healthy sex life. I think the most important thing for women is to be cognizant of the fact that they can enjoy sex and not to be conditioned by messages that society has told women over decades.
We do live in an almost hypersexualized world.
Yes, I agree.
What's the difference between the two?
I think one can have hypersexuality and one can have sensuality.
Yes.
And it may be easier for women who are suffering from sexual arousal disorders to adopt a sensual framework rather than a hypersexualized framework.
Yeah, because if you think of the framework that we're exposed to, it's almost like the junk food of sex.
It's in your face.
Yeah. And you have to then detox from that and find a healthier sensual diet, essentially. You mentioned erotica, watching certain movies. Some are produced very tastefully and others aren't. So is it readily available for people?
I think there's a big genre of erotica available for women.
Yeah.
Some women are not as stimulated as others with very obvious sexuality. Yeah. Some sexuality that you might see in pornography, and some women would prefer more erotica.
Because this is our biggest sexual organ, right? Our brains. So it's stimulating that thought process, erotic thought process.
And getting into the mind frame of allowing yourself to be a sexual being. Lovely lingerie. Feeling sensual.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to express your sensuality and not conditioning yourself to feel ashamed of wanting to be a sexual being.
Awesome. What a lovely, transparent, insightful conversation. Thank you, Louisa.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thanks for coming in. Go and buy some lingerie for yourself. Not for your partner.
For yourself,
for
exactly.
yourself. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for watching Real Health, and a special thank you to all our guests. If you want to get in touch with them, please visit thehomechannel.co.za for all of their details. You can also write to us at info@thehomechannel.co.za and get your daily health tips on the Home Channel Facebook page. We're also on Instagram as well, so look out for our Real Health posts there. That's it from me, Stacey Holland, and the Real Health team. Remember the mantra: you're healthy, vibrant, and lean. Love and take care of your being. Cheers.